All Gaul is divided into 3 parts, of which one part, dwell the Belgians, another the Aquitani, a third who, by the language of themselves, so by their own language, Celts, by our (language), are called Gauls. These all in language or by language, or with respect to language, with respect to institutions, with respect to laws, differ among themselves. The Grumna River, the Gauls from the Aquitani, and from the Belgians, the Matrona and Sequana divide. So the Grumna River divides the Gauls from the Aquitani, from the Belgians, the Matrona and Sequana. Of all of these, the strongest are the Belgians, because propter quod together means because, maybe literally kind of because of that thing which, but because by the culture, because from the culture and from the humanity of the province. So there's a part of France that belonged to Rome and that had more culture and humanity than the other more barbaric places. So because from the culture and the humanity of the province they are most far away, and minimally often to them merchants come and go. So the merchants don't bring certain goods there, and they import, so they minimally often come to them and import those things, which pertain to the effeminating of souls, so which pertain to effeminating souls, so womanly things, perfumes, and these luxurious goods, Caesar is saying, makes people weak. Nearby they are to the Germans, who across the Rhine dwell, with whom they continuously wage war. Concerning which reason, or kind of because of which reason, the Helvetii also, the remaining Gauls in virtue, excel, because nearly in daily battles with the Germans they contend, either when from their own borders they keep them off, or keep them away from their own borders, on their own borders, or they themselves in the borders of them, as in the enemy's borders, wage war. So they're either preventing attacks on their own borders, or they're taking and attacking their neighbors. One part of them, which the Gauls are said to hold, takes up a beginning. So snatches or takes up a beginning from the Rhone River, and is contained by the Grumna River, by the ocean, by the borders of the Belgians. It touches even by the Sequani and by the Helvetii, the Rhine River, and it lies towards the north. The Belgians, from the extremes of Gaul, or the farthest most boundaries of Gaul, arise. They lie to the lower part of the Rhine River, and they look into the north and the falling or the rising of the sun. So that would be the east. Aquitania so this is another region. Aquitania by the Grumna River toward the Pyrenean Mountains, and to that part of the ocean, so Pyrenees, and that part of the ocean which is towards Spain, it extends. So Aquitania extends or lies towards Spain. It lies between the fall of the sun, so west and the north. Among the Helvetii, Longly, so by far, the most noble was and most rich Orgetorix. He, with Marco Massala and Marco Pupio Pisone as consuls, led on or kind of drawn into, led on by the desire of rule, made a conspiracy of the nobility, and he persuaded the state that from their borders, with all their troops or all their resources, they might exit. Probably an implied, he said it, so dixit id would be he said it to be easy, to leave, and to because in virtue they excel all, This is a verb that takes the dative. Or they are superior to all. And he also said it to be easy to be able to gain the rule. Remember, this verb takes the ablative. To gain rule of all of Gaul. This thing he persuades to them by means of this more easily, or rather easily, because on all sides, by the nature of the place, the Helvetii are contained. On one part, or from one part, but maybe loosely, on one part, by the Rhine River most wide and most deep, which the field of the Helvetii from the Germans divides. On another, from the part, or on another part, or out of another part, by the mountain Jura most high, which is between the Sequani and the Helvetii. On a third, by the lake Lamanus and by the Rhone River, which our province from the Helvetii divides. Because of these things, it was happening, or it was occurring, that both that they were able to wander less widely, so they were able to wander less widely and less easily on their borders to carry in war. They were able, because of which thing or out of which part, the men desirous of warring, like of fighting wars, were afflicted with a great sorrow, on account, and this is gerund in the genitive, so men desirous of warring were afflicted with great sorrow, on account of the multitude, however, of men, and on account of the glory of war and of courage, they were thinking themselves, so arbiterbantur se habere angustos fines, so they were thinking themselves to have narrow borders, or too narrow of boundaries, which in longitude 240 miles were, or so their borders were 240 miles, and in latitude they were extending 180